It's Blues America time. Blues America time.
The blues is a feeling. The blues is life. The blues is stories and legend. The blues is the heart and soul of America. It is our history and national standard. Everything started from the blues. It's time now for Blues America. Blues America, broadcasting coast to coast. Let's talk about the blues, shall we?
Yes, let's talk about the blues. This is your source for blues talk. A little blues show from Arizona, Blues America. I'm in charge of this mess, your blues junkman and humble host, Drew Verbis. Here's what you need to know. Blues America broadcasts weekly on the radio through our 50,000-watt transmitter, spreading blues out of the Sonoran Desert from Tucson to Sedona, and worldwide on our 2-hour streaming podcast, online now at bluesamerica.com. The website also features the photo of the week, the blues news, and detailed program information. Contact the show at bluesamerica@gmail.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Coming up on today's program, I speak with veteran bluesman, harmonica ace, and singer Darrell Nulisch. And if you like what you hear today, bluesman Hans Olsen will be featured on next week's program. You're listening to Blues America. I'm that guy, Drew Verbis.
Blues America. America. Now that's some home cooking.
Darrell Nulisch is a critically acclaimed singer, songwriter, and harmonica player with 40 years of blues experience. He began his career as a founding member and frontman of the famed Texas-based blues band Anson Funderburgh and the Rockets. Their first recording in 1981 was the first album in the catalog of New Orleans-based Blacktop Records. Before becoming a solo artist, he also worked with Mike Morganfield and The Crawl and Ronnie Earl and the Broadcasters. Later, he recorded an album with his own band, Texas Heat, before signing to Severin Records, where he recorded 5 solo albums. Today, he tours with Grammy-winning Chicago blues legend James Cotton in a high-profile role as the featured guest vocalist. He's widely considered one of the best blues singers in the business. Please welcome Darrell Nulisch to Blues America.
Damn right!
Damn right! Got the blues.
Well, I feel like rambling far away from home. I feel like rambling far away from home. Yes, I feel like leaving, but I sure can't stand to be alone. Now I got a cold-hearted woman.
How long you been doing blues now?
I started doing blues really when I was with Anson and Funderburgh, and we started that band in 1978. Before that, I was I started playing in bands when I was a real kid, garage bands and stuff, when I was 12, 14 years old. That was in Dallas.
And did you start off playing blues?
No, not really. You know, being from the suburbs, and back in that time frame, there was only like mom and pop kind of record stores, and being in the suburbs where I was, blues records are really hard to find. Every now and then you might find somebody with an older brother who had some records or something that would go to a sort of a sketchy part of town to buy their blues records, you know. So that's how I got hip to a lot of stuff. And then later on, when the bigger chain stores started coming in, Sound Warehouse and some of these bigger ones, Tower Records and all, then you could find blues records, and then I was just like buying everything I could get my hands on at that time.
So when did you hear of blues for the first time? Do you remember?
Well, the only thing I would have heard early on was a lot of things that were being played on Texas radio. You would hear Jimmy McCracklin and Jimmy Reed, and now and then you might hear a B.B. King song or something like that, but it wasn't until the records were available to me that I really started listening to blues, and that was probably when I was in high school in late 60s or early 70s. But my first recollection of music, live music, I couldn't have been over 5 years old. My grandfather was connected with the State Fair of Texas, and so every November we would spend a lot of my childhood out there running around the fairgrounds, and they had a tent show, and they would bring out 4 or 5 musicians, and they would play and draw a crowd to sell tickets to this. It was actually a hoochie show, you know, the girls with the topless girls with the little pasties and everything. So there was that, and I remember distinctly looking up at the bandstand, seeing these guys playing, thinking, there's nothing cooler in life. Right there, that's it.
So that started your blues experience. So now you've been doing that since, you said, 78?
Yeah, you know, professionally. That's when I had my last real job. In 78.
So that's quite a while. So now you've had a chance to find out what the blues is. So tell us, what is the blues?
That's a hard one. Well, for me, the blues is just the music that I connect with. I always have had a soft spot in my heart. It was, like I said, it was just an automatic connection for me. And even the rock music, later on when I was a kid, high school and whatnot, yeah, if it didn't have some kind of a blues base to it, I really wasn't too interested in it. So everything I like is, even today, I listen to a lot of jazz and reggae and all kinds of stuff, but there's still that thread of blues that if it's not there, then I usually don't stay with it too long.
So tell me about the early days with Anson Funderburg. When did you guys start recording, and how did that all sort of take off?
Well, we started that band in 78, and we started in a club where we played every Monday night, and we ended up playing there every Monday night for about 7 years. And the rest of the time we would tour mostly regionally. We would go up to Kansas City or up to Omaha, or we spent a lot of time down in New Orleans and Jackson, Mississippi, trips that we could make in 6-7 hour drive from Dallas. And then we would play the weekends and scurry back home to make our Monday night show. So during that time, when we were spending time in New Orleans, that's when we met this guy, Hammond Scott, who had just started, well, he hadn't even started Blacktop Records yet, because we were the first record on that label. And yeah, Hammond was instrumental in getting us, a record on a record label and all. So,
how did you get those shows back then? How was it promoted?
Actually, Anson did all the booking for that band early on, and And we played every little place we could find to play. It didn't matter. We ended up at one point playing for some of these dance clubs. They have a popular dance there, the swing or the push. They call it different names. It's all pretty much the same Lindy hop kind of bass dance music. And so at one point we were playing 6 nights a week, 4 nights in Dallas and then hit the road for 3 and come back. And that went on for years. We were doing 6 nights a week, and we averaged around 250 nights a year for about that whole 7 years I was with Anson.
Did you guys go on as a blues act at that time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was,
and how was the blues accepted at that time? Was it pretty popular?
We did okay, shortly after that, bands like the Thunderbirds and Stevie were starting to break, Robert Cray. And by the 80s, blues was in a real sort of, heyday, I think, a resurrection, if you will. And so, of course, the more popular bands like that got, the easier it was for us to find work. And Anson was he was one of the best booking agents I ever had.
I'm gonna leave here walking, buddy, with my clothes in my hand. I got to find my big leg woman before she gets another man. Yeah, I need my baby. People, I ain't signifying. Well, if I don't hurry up and find her, I believe I'm gonna lose my mind. She's a fine-looking woman. Her shape is a dream. She's the lovingest female I've ever seen. Yeah, I need my baby. People, I ain't signifying. Well, if I don't hurry up and find her, I believe I'm going out of my mind. Damn right.
Damn right. Got the blues.
Well, I'm tore up, drunk as I can be. Well, I'm tore up, drunk as I can be. Well, my head is as ragged as
How long did you stay with them?
7 years.
You recorded, obviously, on Blacktop, and how many albums did you record with Anson?
Two records with Anson, and then after I left Anson, after a short while, I went to Ronnie Earl's band, and we recorded on Blacktop too, and that was 2 albums on Blacktop with Ronnie Earl, and then we did some of these things at Tipitina's live records, live from Tipitina's, which it was usually 3 or 4 bands. We worked with Earl King and lots of all the guys that hung around down New Orleans.
Those early days, were you singing and playing harmonica or just doing harmonica? What were you doing?
No, I was always singing and playing harp. In fact, even today, I kind of tout myself as a singer who plays a little harp. I'm not one of those complete harp guys. I'm a singer who plays a little harp. That's the way I describe myself.
Tell me how you learned to do that.
Like I said, I started playing in bands when I was just a kid, and I remember the very first song I learned to play was I Ain't Got You, and it was a Jimmy Reed tune, but the Yardbirds had covered that, so I ran down to my little music store, and I think the first harmonica I bought was like $2.75 or something, so I picked it up and tried to learn how to play that. It came pretty easy to me. I learned that little part, and then we went on and learned a few more songs with harmonica, and it just kind of progressed. And then, like I said, because the records were not